Hello and welcome to the Elite Sports Debate podcast. And this week we've got all of a sudden quite a bit to talk about. So we're going to have another natter about the action of the last few days in the sporting world. So how's it going, my glamorous co-host?
Yeah. I hope everyone saw my how it started, how it finished. I was there. I think we can probably start on it. To be honest,
Get straight into it, mate. Talk to me about day one at Edgbaston.
Day one at Edgbaston. So I'm going to admit a couple of things as well as we go along this. So got down to Birmingham. I've got a good mate who lives in Birmingham, so we were staying over there. So we'd stayed over the night before. We got down, had some breakfast in Birmingham. Weather was just like unbelievable. We were in the Holly stand, which is the only stand to be in. Like, really? Absolutely, it's different level. And not saying that the others would be naff, but for the atmosphere that we were going for, it was really good. As mentioned before, my sallow skin and 12 hours in the sun would potentially not really be a great mixture. So we had so it was a big. I was walking in actually fearful about where we were going to be sat, but we were actually sat undercover, which was really good, to be honest, because there was some sights by the end of the day who were really, really, really sunburnt. So as we were queuing up to get in, which we kind of jumped a little bit of the queue, everyone, not everyone was doing it, but a lot of people were doing it, and the reason why was because everyone wanted to be in for the first ball. So we got in really good time. Pints, how much for a pint, Johnson?
Oh, let's go £7.50.
£7.45 for a pint.
What a guess! What a guess that is.
So, and as well,
mate, can we just take a moment to appreciate my guess there? I was 5p out.
Yeah, but it's an absolute travesty about how much that is, by the way.
That is a lot. Yeah, it's
£7.45 for
supply and demand, mate.
Supply for a pint of beer. By the way,
£8. It could be a tenner, and it could be a tenner, and people would still buy it.
£8 because you've got to buy a plastic fucking cup. If you don't take yours back, then that's it. You. Anyway,
it's slightly worse at the Ryder Cup. We went to America. It's $18. The cheapest bottle of beer was $18, which is what, 13 quid, 14 quid.
So, $18
for a bottle of beer, yeah.
I'm gonna not swear. And I think we took in loads of food, loads of water, loads of drinks. So we've saved on that side. And we just got some tea while we were in there, but my God, it was expensive for beer. First ball,
that was class.
Crawley just absolutely smoked it to the boundary. It was a really, really, really great display, and Bazball won. So I mean, when they declared, oh my God, the shock around.
Yeah.
Around the ground, and
the right move without being kind of Bazball biased.
So I was people who I went with. There was 3 very casual, probably four, including myself, casual cricket fans, and one big, very well knowledgeable cricket fan, good mate. So he kind of said that if they declared, they should have declared with leaving them with 10 overs, just because then they could get a decent amount of time. 4 overs was just not enough. It just really was not enough. And Jimmy Anderson, why he wasn't bowling for it, that should have happened. But
I guess if it had been any earlier, then there would have been even bigger question marks, wouldn't there? So in
Yeah,
terms of
potentially, but
doing
then
it too early.
I think they were just waiting for the 100 for Root, weren't they?
Yeah.
I agree with what your statement is that as soon as Joe Root gets that 100, they should have just started smoking it.
Yeah,
Absolutely
I agree. You've got
smoking it.
6 overs to play 2020 cricket, Joe. Yeah.
Yeah,
If you get out,
yeah,
you get out. Well, getting out
yeah,
is the same as declaring, isn't it? So,
yeah.
well, just swing your bat around a bit for 2 or 3 more overs, get to 400, and call it a day then.
Exactly that, and I definitely do agree with that statement. Getting out is the same as declaring. However, Joe Root then goes into that second innings kind of knowing that he wasn't out. No one got him out.
Yeah.
So and they were probably thinking, how are we going to get this guy out? Because we couldn't get him out to a slow ball. We couldn't get him out to a bouncer. So it was an interesting mindset to do. But yeah, so we got to watch loads of really good cricket. The atmosphere was incredible. The weather was incredible. One of my mates who was there with us, he went off to Bruce Springsteen in the evening at Villa Park.
No.
I mean,
that's
what a day that is. I mean, he was a shadow of his former self by the next day. But
I'm sure he was.
Yeah. So So we are currently in day 4 of the test match that's finished earlier on today. So we're going into day 5. It's not very often that you go to a day 5 now in a test match, and even with baseball, we're going into a day 5. I know we lost a lot of day 3 through rain, but yeah. So
kind of nice edge, isn't it? It's nicely poised.
Yeah.
I mean, when it was 60 for none or whatever, I was like, oh god. Khawaja and Warner, I was like, oh, here we go. And then we got 3 pretty quick wickets, and that kind of turned the game around again. So
Brody
Smith was huge. Yeah, Broad has been outstanding. There's been a lot of talk about he was potentially the one to miss out because kind of Mark Wood is sat there and he's our fastest bowler. But if they bring Mark Wood in, it can't be for Brody. He's been brilliant.
Yeah, he won't be. I think it'll possibly be for Jimmy Anderson, and it'll be a late decision based on weather. And if it looks like it's going to swing, if the weather's coming in for Lords, if the weather's coming in for the Oval, if it's hard and fast, then it's Wood, and if it's slow and swingy, then it'll be Robinson. But
it's going to happen with Ali because he's got a bit of a niggle, hasn't he? He's got a bit of a
niggle.
Finger. Yeah,
niggle. You seen it?
Yeah, I haven't actually seen the pictures to know, but it's quite bad, isn't it? He keeps having to try and go off and get it treated.
It's pretty deep blister. So basically, because he's been playing white ball cricket, so white ball use a kookaburra white ball, which doesn't have that much of the seam of the kookaburra isn't as damaging.
Yeah.
So the Duke's ball has got a really thick kind of seam, and he's basically and the way that he spins it is he rags his finger down the side of the seam. So every time he's been doing that, and because he hasn't played much of this type of cricket, he's just destroyed his finger.
I guess he should be okay though. I guess it's manageable.
He's
not going to be out of like Test 2. You wouldn't have thought, would you?
I mean, Roy Keane would tell him to grow a pair of balls, to be honest. No, but seriously, I think a lot of people would,
Yeah.
But I think it just does affect, quite psychologically how much rag you can put down that finger. And if he's not spinning the ball, he is a very average bowler. He's not. The main reason why he's a good bowler is because of the amount of revs that he puts on the ball, and he gets it because of the spins with the finger position. So
before he went off to get treated, he was throwing some pretty bad balls.
Horrendous.
Tosses and I was like,
horrendous.
But no, it's been brilliant, and we kind of spoke about pre-pod. It's been an absolutely brilliant Test match. It's been a fantastic start, and I'd go as far to say, a great advert for Test cricket. Really, that's what it is. It gets in some places it gets knocked a little bit. How can you play? The people not in the know go, how can you play 5 days and still get a draw? Blah blah blah. But
And
It's
do you know
just a
what though?
big,
Do you
it's a
know
big
what?
advert for Test cricket.
I'm on board with that statement. Like, it isn't great that you can play all that time and not get a result.
Yeah.
It's not, but how you resolve that situation, I am unsure. But
Yeah.
but ultimately, it's I think obviously weather plays a big part, doesn't it? And stuff, and and there's no form of penalty shootout, is there, in like in Test cricket? There is no way of doing it, so you can't go to a super over. However, that would be quite good.
That would be funny.
It's so yeah. I think it's shaping up really well. The Aussies are really good with the ball. Their bowlers are quality, and
equally as good with the bat, mate. They've got the 1, 2, 3 in the world with the bat, and that's ignored. But that's the 1, 2, 3, and that's ignoring Khawaja and it's ignoring Warner. Like, it's staggering, really.
Yeah, but Lamashane's got out for how many runs?
No, I know,
and he's meant to be the best in the world.
Yeah, I agree.
I watched Joe Root just absolutely step on one in the first innings and make one of the most sublime hundreds that you've ever seen. So
Root's absolutely class. It's absolutely class. Yeah, the rankings are a bit strange.
Yeah,
and Labuschagne, I think he's got 1 century outside of Australia, possibly. So
yeah.
But look, you look at their top 6 in the batting lineup, and you're like, oh my god. But they're just a really good side, and I would say the main reason we have a chance is because we're at home.
Yes.
I think we lose this Test series in Australia.
Oh, we lose it 5-0
all day long. Yeah,
we lose it 5-0 because we don't have Archer.
Yeah.
We need Archer's pace in Australia, whereas you don't need it in England because the weather can help the situation.
Yeah. So no, it's been brilliant, and it's been a fantastic start. Because in England, it's been close. So far, it's been close. It's obviously fine margins, but there are slightly. I was explaining it to Charlotte earlier because she's getting quite interested in it, and I would say it's kind of like Europe in a Ryder Cup playing at home. Arguably, they don't have as good a side, but they can still win. And I think the fact we're at home really helps. Therefore, it's a tight match, and I think we're going to get a tight series. I don't see either team smashing either team in a Test match. I think they're all going to be fairly tight. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a fantastic summer of cricket. I'm really looking forward to it. Win, lose, or draw, I think we're going to get some great matches. Even someone mentioned to me the other day, this could be potential for the best Ashes we've seen, or the best home Ashes we've seen since 2005. A very memorable series of Flintoff and KP and all of that lot. So, no, exciting. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to the other games. Golf.
We stayed up. We had a bit of we recorded a podcast last night,
an FPL pod to try and keep us up. Yeah, and I made it till about 15. I did pretty well.
We did. We both were the same, really. We had some semi interest in the field with some mates. We just had a friendly £20 sweep with which I think is a great thing to do from a golf point of view, because if you have a bet on golf, your bets could be over by you put your money on JT, they missed the cut, and then it's rubbish value for money. So we had a stable of golfers. I managed to spike Scotty Scheffler. And his long game was incredible. His putting
that was my tip, wasn't it? On the previous pod, I kind of mentioned Scheffler for the reasons of he was playing great and not putting. And we'd figured out that if he was putting, he'd win. And again, it kind of let him down a bit, didn't it?
Let him down a lot, mate. It was not a bit. It was a lot. He missed a couple of short ones. He missed a couple of short ones. He missed a couple of. He misread a couple. You could see he was getting frustrated by it as well. I think that was the biggest thing. Was he was really?
I agree with you. Do you know the sign of a great player? He wasn't that great for 4 days. He's lost by 3.
Oh. Yeah, no. Do you know what I mean? You're completely right here. You're completely right.
He's come third. He's beaten 100 golfers, and he's 7 out of 10.
Yeah,
it's just staggering, really. Shows how good he is.
Yeah, and
He's one of
and
those
I,
weird players how you never like, wow, that's amazing. He just does the business. And you're like, how was he 7 under?
I've been quite open with my opinions about him previously, and I hate the fella. The only good thing about him is he wears Tiger Woods gear,
Yeah.
which is a little bit cringy as well.
It's a bit weird, but I quite like it. I still wear Tiger Woods hats and stuff. But I think it's funny as a tour golfer that's effectively still competing with Tiger to wear Tiger stuff. It's just so funny.
Like,
it's so funny.
Me and you wearing it is fine.
Yeah.
Him wearing it is.
It'd be like playing against Portugal and someone for England wearing Ronaldo boots. Like, it's like very odd. I love it. Tiger's the goat, but yeah, I know what you mean. It's a bit odd. The TW shoes is a bit strange. It's a bit strange. It's class though.
He's number one in the world. He's number one in the world. He's got a sponsorship.
Tiger,
He's got a sponsorship with Nike, and Nike cannot get Tiger Woods gear off him. Yeah. Like, the money that must be thrown at him to not wear that gear is mental. But yeah,
Tiger Woods won't be paying him to say wear my shoes. Like, of course he wouldn't.
No. So
it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy, really.
Yeah.
But,
so the winner, Clark. I'm going to be completely open and honest with you. Before he won a month ago, I'd never heard of the fella.
Yeah, Wells Fargo.
I'd never heard of it.
He's come from nowhere until he's been playing some good golf for the last year or so. But until that, he's really sprung to prominence, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Thing is, I'm in a WhatsApp group and a couple of the boys were like, how did we not see this come in? He only won 3 weeks ago. The reason I didn't back him was his major record is terrible. I think he's played 12. He's played 12 majors and his best finish is 75th. I took a screenshot of it. Here you go. So he played PGA 2020, miscut. Open Championship 2020, miscut. PGA Championship 2021, tied 75th, which, by the way, was his best result. US Open 2021, miscut. US Open 2022, miscut. The Open 2022, tied 76th. PGA Championship this year, wasn't long ago, was it? Miscut. First, US Open. So his best result in his 7 majors that he's played is tied 75th. So you'd look at that and you'd go, he's not up for majors. Really, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yes, his form's been okay, and he was about 30th in the world. Now he's 13th, by the way, which is mad. But yes, Rory. Rory.
And by the way, regardless of money, me and you, and probably 90% of the golfing community wanted Rory McIlroy to win.
I love him. Yeah, I just love him.
And
I love him. He's a very polarizing character. A lot of the boys I have in my group don't like him, and they make fun of him. Oh, Rory bottled it again, and he's quite an easy target. It's just so frustrating because he doesn't.
He's had to deal with so much shit.
Yeah, he has. I would have loved to. I'd absolutely love for him to win it, and I thought he took it pretty well. Again, he didn't do a great deal wrong. He just didn't hole a load of putts. But as I spoke to you pre-pod, he's the highest score ever not to win a US Open. No one's ever not won a US Open at -9. So I know that's a little bit about the course and stuff, but we'll come on to that. But it's so easy to knock him, right? It's so easy to knock him, go, oh, Rory's bottled it again. He's beaten everyone else.
Yeah.
Bar one golfer. Yeah. So he hasn't had a bad week. And yes, it's a shame because he wants to win. But he hasn't had a bad week.
So obviously when the interview that Tiger did 97 just after the Masters, and where he was like, he's just got his PGA Tour, and he was like, yeah, no, I want to win. And the fella was like, yeah, no, but you can't do that every week. You can't do that every week.
Strange.
Yeah. You can't do that every week.
I love that interview. I was thinking about that earlier. I actually genuinely was thinking about that a couple of hours ago, about that interview, and saying, where he said sometimes second isn't all bad, kid, and he was like, I just don't want to come second. And he was like, you'll learn.
Yeah, you'll learn. and he's completely right, because coming second in golf is a great achievement.
Yeah,
but when you're Rory McIlroy,
exactly. If you're a great week for Wyndham Clark would have been second because it's a huge paycheck for him and it's career kind of changing. When you've got an unlimited pool of money anyway, like Rory has, then it's more about the majors, it's more about the winning.
He's no longer playing for money. Rory McIlroy's playing for
just majors, really.
Majors. Well, it's just records. Let's just call it records.
Yeah.
I think that's the whether they're PGA Tour records or they're records that mean something, right? So I think just with everything that went on with Liv and PGA this week, it just would have been great to see him win it. And and ultimately the demise of Tiger Woods' health means that we do need the next superstar. And Rory McIlroy is a superstar, but he's not a winning superstar. And I just think that he needs to become that winning superstar, because ultimately Scotty Scheffler is not going to be your superstar.
No, I agree. So, he's not flamboyant enough. Yeah, he's not flamboyant enough.
No. Like the Ricky Fowler, the JT, the Jordan Spieth, them as a group are really good. Yeah. Like they're a really fun group, but individually they're not that great. Like completely individually. So when you are looking at certain people, it's Rory McIlroy that is the big draw in golf, and if he's not winning, then he's not on the front cover of Men's Health magazine. He's not on the. So I do just really think that the difference, 2 more majors, one including the Masters and one including the Open, we have got a serious superstar. Again,
you've done it all. He does that. The Masters is the only thing he hasn't won.
Yeah. So. And
do you think it's a bit of a mental block now? Do you think he's a bad finisher? Do you think he's this is a big question. Do you think he's a bit of a bottle job or not? Or do you think it's more coincidence?
I don't think it's a bottle job. I think that I
there's a difference between struggling to get over the line and bottling. Bottling. I hated to see it, and I love Ricky Fowler. I would have loved to see him win, but
I think Ricky was just
a bit more of a bottle job.
Yeah, Ricky was just massively out of practice of being in that position, wasn't he? Mm-hmm. And I think Rory has now been in this position now about 4 times.
Yeah.
The Open, Cam Smith won that Open. Rory McIlroy didn't lose it.
But similar to this, there was a lot of similarities in this, in that he played well, hit loads of greens, didn't hold many putts, didn't do a lot wrong, but just didn't have the extra gear. You would say obviously that Wyndham Clark deserved it and he won it. But
I think the Open,
McIlroy didn't stick it in reverse. He just didn't go fast enough. Do you know what I mean?
The Open was worse than this one, I think.
Yeah.
Just because it's such, that is such a gettable golf course.
Yeah.
Rory like par for Rory McIlroy around St Andrews is probably 5 under, 4 under.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
He is, from a handicap. It's dead simple. From a handicap point of view, he would be off +6.
Yeah, exactly. So therefore, par 4s, isn't there? Stuff. So.
Yeah. So for him playing round there, 5 under is probably par. So therefore, he shot 5 over his handicap that day. So
it worries me that a bit that if he's, let's ignore the US Open for a second. If he's struggling to finish like a Memorial, and if he's struggling to finish at like a Wells Fargo, I can't see him getting over the mental block of a Masters. I think the Masters is too big for him.
So you don't think he's ever going to win him?
No, and I am a huge Rory fan, and I will defend him to the hills. And he's one of the most, if not Tiger, but he's one of the top 3 most talented golfers I've ever watched. And I'm a huge fan. But I think the Masters is too big for him. Yeah. I think he wants it too much. It's not that he can't win it. Of course he can. He's an unbelievable talent. But I think it's too big for him. Look at this year, Miss Carr. I think it's just too big for him. A good example of too big for him was Portrush at the Open.
Yeah.
Huge for him. So big for him. Shot 8 over. Too big.
And he previously shot 60.
Yeah, for the course record.
with some pink trousers on.
Did you see the thing I sent you when I was there?
Yeah.
I was there in March, and they've got the picture of his scorecard of the clubhouse. It's absolutely staggering.
Yeah.
And he was, I think he was 16.
Well, it was his last ever game as an amateur.
15 or 16. He got
61. It was his last ever game as an amateur. He's got Jay
Yeah.
Lindenberg, everything on.
Yeah.
Like, this was the time. Like, me and Johnson are not far off in age to Rory McIlroy. I think he's 2 years older than me.
Yeah.
So
I think that's
like,
why I love him so much as well, because I kind of grew up with him as well. Do you know? I mean, not with him, but seen him grow up. Yes, I've got it here.
He was what made you realise that you're really rubbish at golf, really, to be honest. Wasn't it?
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. I've got the card here. I'll actually put it on our socials because it's hilarious. And like I said, I was at Portrush in March, and he shot 61, 11 under. He was off +4, and it was 2005, so he was 15.
15,
under,
16, yeah.
11 under, 15, 16 years old. Incredible, and that would have got him from +4 to like +6 that one round.
Well, I think he turned pro off that anyway. So, yeah. Perfect.
Okay, good. Just really quickly, the last thing on the US Open is I know you had a few comments about the event / the golf course. It was a bit strange, wasn't it? I just want to know your thoughts about.
So let's start.
290 yard par threes.
So let's start off. Location for a British viewer is already putting me in a terrible news. So I'm already in a terrible mood, right? So it already reeks, in my opinion, it reeks, right? Then there's holes. So let's look at day 3, yeah? 275 yard par 3, the 7th.
Yeah.
And then the 15th was 80 yards.
Yeah. And there's a 290, wasn't there? 11 or 13, 290.
Yeah, 200 and something. Yeah, 290, and then 80 yards. I'm all for length isn't the reason why you need it, but why golf courses should be hard. Like I really am firm in my belief that you don't need a long golf course to be a hard golf course. However, 80 yards to a pin that was borderline illegal, like where
like
it's
you messaged
downwind,
it's like crazy golf, yeah.
Well, it was a clown's mouth and a windmill away from
Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, I think with all the players, a lot of 50% of the field bailed out to the right, didn't want to hit a green from 80 yards away. Like something's going on there, right? Something's going on. Like, and I know that they were pissed off that the scoring was so low on the first day, but that's because they cocked up. They didn't dry the greens out enough. The fairways were spongy, so all the collection areas it all collected down to.
I agree. By the Sunday, by the way, it was great. US Open, perfect.
Great, because they dried the hell out of it.
It was just too soft the first day.
Yeah, it's so. I am. I absolutely. I thought the golf course did themselves no favors.
Yeah.
All of the news came out about how they're a very. It's men's only. It's there's so many negatives about the place, like
very stuffy club.
And then the ticket situation.
Ticket situation was shambles. I think something like 60-70% was hospitality and stuff, and it didn't leave enough for normal fans.
And then the 30% that went for normal fans, they bought half of them as well. Because they wanted, it just felt like prestige rather than so then their members could go around and say we've hosted a US Open, because obviously up the road you've got Riviera, which has hosted so many amazing events. So it's it was, and I'm not saying that like I can't think of a crowd situation. Like when you think about the Masters, the crowd is something that really is amazing. And I'm not saying that the US Open needs to be like where beers getting thrown on or anything like that. It's just that it was boring. There was times in that first 2 days where everyone was holding loads of putts because the greens were so true, and it was borderline boring. So
I got some good news though. I got some good news, and I had a quick look at this. Came up on my Insta. They're not back there until 2039. So 16 years is they'll be back there. The next one is Pinehurst, and that's a pure track.
That's a proper US Open golf course.
Yeah, it is, and that's where Keimer absolutely walked it. And that's East Coast, North Carolina, so that's going to be much better. So they've got good ones coming up: Pinehurst, Oakmont class, Shinnecock class, Pebble, unreal. Winged Foot's a great US Open venue. Back to Pinehurst. They're doing Pinehurst every 5 years, which is great.
That's brilliant.
Marion's a good one. That's where Rose won. Riviera, possibly in 31. Back to Pebble. Back to Oakmont. So coming up will be fine. This was just a bit of a one-off. It was a bit of a strange one. Reminded me of Chambers Bay. Do you remember Chambers Bay?
Oh my God, where Dustin Johnson got done. Yeah.
Spieth won it.
Yeah.
And those
great shout.
Was so bad.
Great shout, because it really was like that. It felt like a USPGA for me. It didn't feel like a US Open.
Yeah, because the USPGA this year was really hard as well. So. PGA is playing difficult. So
anyway,
good. I think we're good on that.
The next time we're going to be talking about golf, it's going to be the British Open, which makes me smile. It is down the road from me. It's going to be a great golf course. Hopefully, the weather continues to just be sunny and the wind blows and the course is baked out. I've got some really good memories of going, like in the year when Tiger won. I just started playing golf really, so 2004, and went with my grandparents there. It was just like, it was baked to hell. Like it was so baked. So yeah.
My
and
good
then
memories,
Rory
are in St George's. All my memories in St George's. So the first one I went to 2003, St George's. Tiger was there. I was 13. I remember him walking in front of me from hole to hole, and I was going, "Come on, Tiger!" And he looked at me and kind of nodded his head, and I was like, "Oh my God, it's Tiger Woods in front of me!" Like the first one I ever went to, and it's just unreal. Ben Curtis won that year. So that's the one I always go to, St George's. But obviously, you're a bit more spoiled around where you are.
Spoiled.
We've got nothing. We've got nothing around us really, apart from St George's.
So Rory's got a great chance at the British Open.
British Open. He's won it. He's won it there, isn't he? He's won it there.
And the other person that I want to early doors is Tommy Fleetwood. He is trending up in the world, and he's got the game. He'll know the golf course. He will have played it so many times.
His record in the Opens is pretty good. Remember when he went toe to toe with Larry at Port Rush not that long ago?
Yeah.
So his record in the Opens pretty good. Yeah, I can see that happening 100%. Missed out on a playoff 2 weeks ago, and obviously hit 63 in the final round this week. So 100%. Yeah, why not, mate? Why not? He's more than capable. And Rory's won it there before, hasn't he, in the Canter? So
the last time it was there,
yeah. So that could be the one. That could be the one he's waiting for. I bloody well hope so. Moving on to a subject I know you're really excited to talk about. I want to bring up again your manager of the year from last year.
Gary O'Neill. So the news today came out.
You sound really upset.
Do you know what I'm really upset about? Is that in every other industry, when you do well, you get rewarded. Whereas football, you can do really well / do nothing wrong, and you actually lose your job. So Gary O'Neill's been sacked, and he was.
I couldn't believe, by the way, I was on the golf course. I couldn't believe it when he told me. I said, pardon. Come again.
There was no warning. There was no run up to this, and then there subsequently has been another manager that we'll come on to as well. and they've gone for the Real Valid manager.
Vallecano or Valladolid or whatever it is. Yeah, Iriola
Whatever.
or whatever his name is.
Whatever.
Yeah.
He could be the next coming of Jose Mourinho or Pep Guardiola's love child, and it still won't be as deserving as Gary O'Neill. Gary O'Neill did in the Premier League what no one expected him to do.
Yeah.
He took over that job when they were down and out, they were gone.
Yeah.
And everyone said that they should be gone, and he managed to turn it. And he managed to turn it round. Pep Guardiola won the Premier League, and they expected to win the Premier League.
Yeah.
Newcastle achieved more, but they do have some really good players. So they definitely achieved more. Nobody expected Bournemouth to stay up. So I just honestly,
it's a really bad one. It's a really bad one. It's a really bad one.
You mentioned it being like your top three of like.
It's in my top three worst sacking managers I remember. It's right up there.
Yeah,
it's right up there. It's a really bad one. Yeah, and I think again, I talked about this before, and I do believe it's true. I think it's partly the English manager gets very frowned upon more than the foreign manager, and I do think that exists. And I think if it was a foreign manager, then maybe things would be different. So, I feel from a bit. I think he's got a future somewhere else. Hopefully, I hope another club look at him, and I hope he does really well again. But shocking news.
But where does he go? Because is a club going to take a risk on it?
Can he get a Prem job?
Because do I
think he's capable of a Prem job?
Sacked.
Yeah. Do I think he's capable of a Prem job? Absolutely. But will he get a Prem job? Don't think so.
He really needed this season to solidify him, and he could have, if he would have completed this season and kept Bournemouth up again, he's got a job for the next 10 years. But he wasn't. He just hasn't been given the opportunity, and I just would have loved to be that fly on the wall in that situation, where I actually feel that Bournemouth were potentially annoyed at how well he was doing.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Because they clearly wanted to get rid of him.
We didn't bring you in to come 13th, mate. We brought you in to escape relegation by a point. All right, stop overachieving.
I know. So
stop getting bigger than your station. Yeah, it's crazy.
So anyway, I now I'm so on the bus for Bournemouth to be bin Bournemouth, bin them. Just cut them out with a map, and push them into the channel. Just push them into the channel. Just go away. I've got no interest in you. Go and join the French league or something, because I don't care about you anymore.
Brilliant. I think it does stink as well of we're better than this, which is madness. It's madness. Why else would they have sacked him?
This is the thing as well.
Better than this, we're going places.
If he was called,
come on.
If he was called,
Marco
Gary. Silva, Marco Silva. He would be. There'd be memorials about him and all kinds. But because he's called Gary O'Neill, then no one's on board with him. It pees me. It pees me off so much.
I do think that is a genuine thing as well. There's a bit of a foreign manager kind of flair.
Anyway, I really hope he gets the Crystal Palace job. That would make me really happy. Really happy.
He might get a job like that. I hope a club like that
either
gives him some faith and goes, do you know what, you've done a good job, we're backing you.
Either that or a really, really, really established championship club.
That maybe he could promote.
Yeah. I mean, Leeds would be a really big. It'd be a big club for him to do.
Yeah.
So,
just really quickly, Darren Moore as well. I don't think we kind of covered it. We're going to say the same kind of stuff. Madness. He's brought them up. Got the turnaround.
So slightly different
this season.
Slightly different in the sense of it's not a sacking, so it was mutual consent. However, it feels.
I don't know. I never look too much into this mutual consent. He left, he got sacked. It's all a bit wishy-washy, isn't it? I know that that's the official statement, but I could be very confident that Darren Moore wouldn't have wanted to leave.
Yeah. And I think that there's probably been a dispute. The only other thing that I thought about was, did his contract run out and they were unable to agree a contract?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I need to look more into it, but I don't think so.
And I just feel like we've got a really, really, really close mate who's a Sheffield Wednesday fan, home and away Sheffield Wednesday fan, and he's distraught. Like the whole of the backroom staff.
I'm not surprised. And like he said, it's kind of sprung out. There's no rumours. It just come out, and everyone's like, "What?"
I'm like, I'm not, in the limited.
And if you're a Sheffield Wednesday fan, how can you not have a close bond with that manager? He's got you back to the Championship. Not only that, in that way of having the heartbreak of getting 96 points and missing out, doing one of the best turnarounds I've ever seen in any league. One of the best ever. The scenes were remarkable, and then getting that extra time winner at Wembley. The whole kind of Hollywood story behind it. For them to just go,
those players as well, they'll be gutted.
Oh, they must have a huge bond with the manager. Did you see the Bannon video in the changing rooms when he was like, "Oh, we just want to thank you. You've instilled so much confidence in us and love for the club and stuff like that." And I agree with you. The players must be like, "What?"
Especially someone like Barry Bannon, who stayed around at Sheffield Wednesday. He wouldn't have stayed around if the manager was a Diddy. So it's at this point where I'm peed off about football. That football annoys me, and I feel that it's money. Usually, it's money. Money is the biggest driver in these decisions. And if you run a football club properly, then money should just take care of itself. Like Brighton don't really do things for money. They just run it really well, and they happen to shed loads of money. And Liverpool do a similar thing.
Good.
Anyway.
I just quickly want to touch upon Royal Ascot starts tomorrow. I know you're not massive on horse racing, but it's not quite, Cheltenham we go crazy about because it's jump racing, and a couple of the other boys, especially my mate Moose, is just unbelievably keen on it because he lives next to the racecourse. We're not saying this is huge, but this is kind of
Frankie's last one.
Yeah, so this is kind of the Cheltenham of flat racing as Royal Ascot. It's Frankie's last Royal Ascot. I'm going to his final race day in England at Ascot called Champions Day. That's in October. That's going to be class. It's going to be a proper Frankie day where, farewell Frankie flags and stuff like that. So that's going to be really good. That's a great backstory to it. And he's got a horse I fancy tomorrow called Chaldine in the 420. Chaldine, just really quickly, Chaldine won the 2000 Guineas, which is called a classic race. And there is 4 classics: Oaks Derby 1000, 2000. There's 4 or 5 classics. That's a ledger, 5 classics. So Chaldine won the 2000 Guineas really well. And one of the horses near the bottom of that race, August Rodin, it's called, won the Derby. The Derby's a very big race, the biggest flat race in the world. So kind of franked the form of Chaldine, and he's 2-1 shot. I think he's going to win the 420. So yeah, if you're interested, there's one for you. Hope I'm not wrong. But yeah, Ascot's class, and it's 5 days. So keep your eyes peeled. I might on our page. I might just put a little kind of tip of the day every day, just on our story if you're interested. I don't think we need to cover it with a pod like we did on Cheltenham, which I'll definitely do again. But
just a quick one. A quick one. I'm bored.
Yeah, Jez doesn't like horse racing, which is fine. I don't think you didn't like it, but you're just not overly interested. I
don't mind. I don't mind Cheltenham.
I don't think there's many casual horse racer watchers that you either love it or you don't. I think it's one of those. I think you're either hooked on it and you love it, or you're not interested. So
Cheltenham seems to give me there's jeopardy involved there, and what I mean by that is this is the top of the top. Everyone wants to be there, whereas there just feels like there's yes, you've won that race, but there was this other person who could have been there. Who could have been there. So yeah. And also just doesn't.
Yeah,
Really.
that's fair. I mean, the good news for you is, like I said, is it's just Royal Ascot that I'm quickly mentioning. I will probably mention when I go and see Frankie Farewell in October, and then the only other time I'll mention horse racing is in March. So realistically, 3 times a year. That's it.
Yeah.
Good. Anything else you wanted to touch upon? I know you're the fight sports man. Nothing much going on.
No, it was there was a fight at the weekend that was Josh Taylor. Did we touch on that? Did we touch
We
on that?
touched on Taylor, yeah. This week it was
Yeah.
British. There's a couple of British fights on the Friday night, I think. You had what was the Dubois girl name? She called Caroline.
Oh, yeah, no.
There's
And
nothing much. There's some British fight. There's a rematch.
Fraser Clark won.
UFC, was there anything there? Did Charles Oliveira fight this weekend? Or not?
No, it was the weekend before. It was the UFC card was in the Apex this week, and it was awful. It wasn't awful, but the Apex.
Is there anything to look forward to UFC/boxing in the next few weeks? Or is it just a bit of a quiet time?
Boxing, the summer is where it is going to be like August time. So basically, in July, there's from a UFC point of view, July there is a massive card because it's called International Fight Week. So there's a massive card in Las Vegas that we will hammer closer to the time. I'm going to take center stage and talk about that, and then boxing wise, yeah, it's more August. So
I think you're right.
A little bit of a lull.
I think in boxing, I think what we're having at the moment is talked about it last time. How Fury's annoying everyone. There's a lot of rumours.
We're not talking about rumours. We're not talking about rumours. I'm not talking about rumours.
So, but
I only deal in absolutes. I only deal in absolutes. I don't do if, buts, or maybes.
That's true, exactly. So, but we'll get a decent Joshua fight coming up soon. We're going to get a decent fight coming up soon. But I say soon. It's going to happen at some point.
If unless they're fighting each other, I'm not interested.
That's fair. They're probably going to be fight crap, unfortunately.
So you know, if
it's so political boxing. I love boxing, but it's so political. It's starting to do my head in. It's just such a shame, you know, how there's just so much that goes into. People don't understand how much goes into a Fury Joshua. It's just madness. And even
because
when
realistically,
it's going to get signed though.
Because realistically, the jeopardy involved means that Joshua loses, he's fighting donuts for the rest of his life. So, or he retires. So therefore, if you're a promoter and you could get 5 fights, him fighting 20th in the world, selling out the O2 every single time, getting 5 million quid, and then you could fight Fury. Well, you're going to choose that option because you know that you're not going to be able to beat Fury. And then the Fury situation is the pound signs are from Saudi Arabia. So why would you choose 10 million in England when the Saudis will get you 100 million just for turning up? Just for turning up, 100 million. So it's boring.
Yeah,
and honestly, it pisses me off so much because I don't think there's a better gladiatorial kind of sport than boxing. But
yeah, and the hype. I just love the hype as well. The hype is just tremendous.
But in the lightweight division, we are starting to see a little bit of movement, like the Devin Haney's, the Lomachenkos, the Teofimo Lopez's, the Errol Spence. You know, that Errol Spence fight that's coming up is going to be, you know, Tank Davis. They're all starting to fight each other because they notice that there's so many of them that they can no longer just have tear-ups against donkeys because so there is a little bit of jeopardy here.
UFC London is just, sorry to change the subject. UFC London is fairly not that long away. They go back there again soon, aren't they?
No, July.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it that big though? is it just like is Paddy the baddie fighting there again, or?
No, Paddy's not. He's injured still. So yeah. I mean, it will be. We'll go into it in great detail. A little bit closer to the time. Molly McCann's there. And we'll go into it a little bit later on. Definitely.
Good. And just lastly, England, whilst we've been recording, England have smashed Macedonia 7-0. I know it's a bit, no one really cares because we're just so much better than these sides. We won the other night very easily as well. Trent absolutely ran the show. Look, our opponents are rubbish, but we scored a couple of unbelievably good goals tonight. So,
Saka's third was a joke.
The Trent assist to Saka. Or if you haven't watched that, people, then watch that because it was disgustingly good. Trent's ball and then Saka's finish was phenomenal. So good. Okay, mate. I think that's nicely done.
Glasgow, baby.
Have a great time at Glasgow. Yeah. Whilst Ches is there, I'm going to be on the admin duties and uploading videos and updating Insta pages and stuff. And Ches will be.
I'll send you a picture
of his nut watching Elton John.
I'll send you a picture of me on the long drop.
Yeah, put it on the Elite Sports Insta story again, like you did at Edgbaston. Yeah, enjoy it, mate. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, and you.
Super. Thanks. Yeah, I'll enjoy myself watching it with my 1-year-old daughter on the big box, which she's screaming and shouting. Yeah, great. And on that bombshell, I think it's time to end. Thanks as usual for watching and listening. Please follow the Insta pages and the Twitter pages, and follow the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'll be very grateful. We'll see you next time. Probably some more sports chat. And then obviously approaching the Premier League season, we will definitely be doing our predicted table, our predicted kind of player of the season, players to watch out for, etc., etc. But yeah, that's enough for us. And we'll see you next time. Thanks very much as always.
Thank you. See you later. Bye.